All right, first up, President Cyril Ramaphosa is on a state visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The president is engaging with South African businesses operating in the kingdom before meeting His Excellency, His Royal Highness King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al-Saud. On that note, let's take you live there.
As Minister Patel was describing, as the interaction between various business players on both sides have been demonstrating. Trade between our two countries already totals $5 billion US, and we think we can increase it much further in the next few years. In fact, it is our dream and ambition that we should see this number scaling much higher. South Africa stands particularly ready to increase the overall export of a basket of goods with Saudi Arabia to bring together the balance to the trade account. The current flows of investment between our two countries are very promising indeed. One such company, and it's Aqua Power from Saudi Arabia, is active in the renewable energy space in our country, one of the catalytic sectors for South Africa. South Africa has what I would call unparalleled opportunities that await investors with the financial capability and great business appetite. Just as Saudi Arabia is positioned as the gateway to the Middle East and to the region, South Africa is the gateway to a dynamic continent with great prospects. Africa is growing its output quite rapidly and is urbanizing and has a young population. We already know that Saudi business sees itself as being part of Africa's success story. You have an opportunity here today to develop the relationships that can improve two-way capital flows between Saudi Arabia, this region broadly, and South Africa and Africa more broadly as well. Our country, South Africa, is a leading mining economy, and mining has been an integral part of our economic history for over centuries. And it's pleasing to hear that your future beyond 2030 also involves mining. Local and international companies are active across many different value chains, from iron ore to platinum, palladium, gold, diamonds, coal, chromium, and many other minerals. If it could be said that oil is the lifeblood of the Saudi economy, such is mining to South African economy as well. We have the mineral resources, but also the capability, the capacity, and above all, the solid experience. Saudi Arabia is interested in developing its own substantial mining resources, as we've heard, and we look forward to engagement between our two respective countries, where we can benefit each other on a mutual basis. We can offer expertise in mining services, in technologies, and in a range of equipment and components manufacturing that are used in the mining industry. There are many opportunities as well for joint venture partnerships. South Africa leads the way on the continent in terms of advanced manufacturing. We're the most industrialized country on the African continent. We also lead in science and technology that drives the export of our goods and services. Our firms can benefit from sharing ideas, they can benefit from sharing technologies and market knowledge in fields as diverse as green hydrogen, as has already been mentioned, petrochemicals, pharmaceutical products, and many others. South Africa is a favorable, reliable, and stable place to conduct business. We have a very sophisticated financial service sector, and we are Africa's deepest capital market, with a robust and strong rule of law, as well as the protection of contracts and property rights. I want to call on Saudi business to be part of the renewed momentum of international investors that are now coming to South Africa. Through a targeted outreach to global and local businesses, we have so far attracted investment commitments to the value of approximately 70 billion US dollars, and this number is growing. We targeted $100 billion in a 5-year period, and we're going to far exceed that. Over the past 2 months, I have been at the launch of new investments across South Africa in a wide range of fields such as automotive, manufacturing, the green economy, packaging, and many others. This positive investor sentiment in South Africa is in part owing to the process of ongoing regulatory and legislative reforms that we have embarked upon, that we are also driving to make our economy more competitive, to attract more investments, and to create more jobs so that we can address the various challenges that our country faces at present, which is poverty, inequality, and unemployment. These far-reaching reforms we have embarked on are taking place in sectors such as energy, transportation, telecommunications, water, rail, our ports, and across network industries. And we have here in our delegation ministers who are dedicated in driving these reforms in these various sectors. Next year, I will host the 5th South African Investment Conference that will take place in the first quarter of the year, and I want to use this opportunity to extend an invitation to the Saudi business community to join us, to be part of this massive drive of bringing investments to South Africa. And it's not just merely to bring investments, but to showcase various opportunities that the business community can be exposed to, sectors where they can make good money. Several of the world's leading multinational corporations do have a footprint in South Africa, and our own companies are active in a number of global markets. This is as suppliers of food, cars, chemicals, precious metals, and many others. By equal measure, Saudi companies have access to capital, to know-how, and to various markets around the world. There are many opportunities for joint ventures and industrial partnerships between businesses on both our country's side, so as to foster greater growth and investment. For example, we can do partnerships in agro-processing, in fertilizer production, in chemicals. We can supply a wider range of various products to Saudi markets as well. South Africa's services sectors and professional skills are highly regarded across the Middle East. Our engineers, our doctors, and teachers have already made a huge mark here. We also have filmmakers, entertainment entrepreneurs, bankers, insurance firms, tourism companies, information and communication technology businesses who are also very ready to come here. And as you say, tourism is another huge sector. And I should also say that it's embarrassing that we do not have a direct flight from South Africa to Saudi Arabia. And with both of us being embarrassed, I think it creates a great opportunity to ensure that we do ensure that we connect the two countries. We also have pilots from South Africa who often come here. So I hope you're not applauding to the embarrassment. But this creates a great opportunity. Out of failure and embarrassment sometimes arises great opportunities, and this embarrassment is creating this great opportunity for the two countries to be connected. So we are indeed a leading tourism destination, including for visitors from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Our wildlife tourism is a particular drawcard for tourists from the region. Beyond the need to facilitate greater tourism between our two countries, there are many investment opportunities for Saudi businesses also in the tourism sector. Again, as I said, in wildlife tourism, such as things like game ranching and many others. And of course, linked to this whole process are the other reforms that will bolster and continue to bolster our tourism industry, and to ensure that as we grow our own tourism industry, we deepen and extend security to make sure that there's adequate security that can make our country even much more attractive. And last but not certainly the least, South Africa is blessed with vast tracts of arable land, one of the world's longest coastlines, and an average of 2,500 hours of sun every year. You have great abundance of sun, but so do we, even though in limited measures compared to yourself. Of course, the latter is no comparison to yours, but this abundant natural resource and the temperate climate is a firm basis for investment in agriculture as well as renewable energy. Given all that South Africa has to offer and all that Saudi Arabia has to offer the South African investor, the themes you have chosen are quite appropriate. Firstly, mining and industry, which includes, of course, health products, chemicals, steel, automobiles, as well as others. Secondly, agriculture and food processing, which, as we've come to know, is also very important not only for the peoples of the world, but also in this region. Thirdly, tourism, hospitality, which can include services as well, and indeed many services. Finally, energy and renewables. I look particularly forward to welcoming more of your renewable energy firms and technologies to enter our market. We hope to see you partnering with South African firms as we increase our renewable energy generation footprint and manufacture green energy components. And we are particularly pleased that Saudi Arabia is well steeped in the field of renewable energy and broad energy indeed. An area of potential synergies I want to particularly refer to is the green hydrogen economy. We have all been following with great interest the ambitious and spectacular NEOM project on the Red Sea coast. With plans to source 100% of NEOM's energy from renewable sources, including hydrogen-based power, Saudi investors will find substantial opportunities to leverage in South Africa in this regard. Similarly, there are opportunities for South African business to leverage at NEOM as well. We are the world's largest producer of platinum, a key input in hydrogen fuel cell technology. Our ambitious plans to unlock the potential of the green hydrogen economy include developing a hydrogen valley that stretches from the platinum belt in our country through the country's industrial heartland. A number of multinational investors like Anglo American Platinum have already begun leveraging these opportunities. Saudi investment across the value chain of the green hydrogen economy will not just support South Africa's economic goals, but those of Saudi Arabia as well in its ongoing drive towards sustainability. I've taken note of the reports received about your discussions this morning, and I've also heard as I came in how these discussions have been going. And I take great heart from the progress that has been made, particularly in the identification of the great opportunities between our two countries. I'm told that here in Jeddah, business does not stop at 6 p.m. on a Saturday night, so I have no doubt these discussions will continue, not just this afternoon, but well into the evening as well. Fueled, of course, by the legendary cups of fragrant Saudi coffee that I've been lucky to sample since I arrived. We also welcome the joint ventures noted in the reports received and about various agreements being concluded between private sector firms. The Business Council will need to maintain this great momentum that has been built, and so that it can solidify the economic relationship. When I was last here in 2018, we were essentially laying a foundation and digging the trenches. But during this visit, we are actually consolidating and solidifying that foundation, and this great building that we are constructing of economic development between our two countries is now going up. Saudi Arabia is a large consumer and capital market. It is also a country infused with foresight and great vision, and Vision 2030 being the roadmap for the kingdom's economic diversification. I welcome, therefore, the opportunity to work with all of you, and the work that you have already done, and the work that you have already done lays the basis for these opportunities, not only to be explored, but to explode. Later today, I'll be meeting the delegation led by His Royal Highness Crown Prince and a number of other government officials. Our ministers and senior officials will be signing several agreements that will solidify and consolidate the economic and broader relationship that has evolved between our two countries since 1994, when the founding father of our democracy, Nelson Mandela, came here. There will also be agreements to facilitate new investment, which means that we are now beginning the process of consolidating what we spoke about in 2018. And I call on the two business communities to seriously seize the opportunity with both hands and to build on the solid relationship that exists between our two governments. Once more, I'd like to thank you for receiving me and giving me this opportunity, an opportunity that I've taken to really recognize and appreciate the progress that has been made in your deliberations. And I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Right, so those are live visuals coming through in the back of President Cyril Ramaphosa, who has just addressed those in attendance. Again, President Cyril Ramaphosa on a state visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, engaging with South African businesses who are operating in the kingdom, again, just before meeting His Excellency's Royal Highness.